Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to make Duivekater. I apologize in advance for how many times I'm going to say that incorrectly. It is apparently Dutch for devil's tomcat. I've also did a little research and it could also be like devil's cake. But yeah, apparently the British give this as a gift at Christmas. So I thought it would be kind of fun since we are getting close to Christmas time to make the Duivekater. Alright, I'm going to get my apron on and we'll get started. Alright, so I think I've assembled all of our ingredients. So we've got some typical things that we'll need. Bread flour today, since it is a bread. Milk. Our measurement today for milk is in milliliters, but again, if you have one of those classic, cups that everybody has, milliliters is on the other side. We've got some fast action yeast, we've got an egg. We're going to need lemon for some lemon zest, butter, some spices, cinnamon, nutmeg, cardamom, salt, and then castor sugar. I don't know about you guys, but I can't find castor sugar in my grocery store, which I live in a big city, so it should be a thing, but it is not. So I know you could probably order it, but what I did instead of ordering it, I just did some Googling, and you can take granulated sugar and just put it in like a coffee grinder for just a couple quick zaps and get it to turn into castor sugar. So castor sugar apparently is somewhere in between powdered sugar and granulated sugar. So you don't want to grind it too fine, so I hope I hit that middle ground. But if you have castor sugar in your supermarket, sweet, grab it. Otherwise, kind of figure out. We've got Google at our fingertips, so I figured I could test that out. The first step today is to gently warm our milk on a pot. So I'm just gonna pour that milk in the pan and we're just gonna warm that up a little bit, so it might just take a couple minutes. So I'll do that and then we'll get going on that next step. Okay, so my milk is warming. I'm just gonna move on while it's finishing up. We're just gonna tip our flour into our bowl here. I've already got it measured out and everything. Again, I like to use that scale that has the grams on it because everything in this book is given to you in grams, milliliters, things like that. Alright, so we got the flour in there. I've got my dough hook on my mixer and it says to add the yeast. I've never actually added yeast directly to flour. I've always put it in water and, let it activate. But this is what it says, so I'm just going to go for it. All right, yeast in there. And then salt. We do need those classic half teaspoons and all of that stuff of some of our ingredients. So half teaspoon of salt. And nutmeg, cardamom, and cinnamon. All right, so I need my fourth of nutmeg. I had to go buy these. All right, so nutmeg in there. And cardamom. I don't think I've ever made anything with cardamom. I had to go find some of that as well. Good news is I am stocking up my cabinet with some of these fun things to cook with. Alright, there we go. Yep, fourth a teaspoon. That smells really good. Okay, and then cinnamon. I went ahead and bought a really big cinnamon because we use a lot of cinnamon around the holidays. And we were running out of our other one. So I figured might as well go big. Alright. There we go. Alright, so now stir to combine. I have my rubber spatula right here. Give that a stir. Because honestly, that dough hook's not going to do a whole lot for that. I don't think. All right. Ooh, those spices already make this smell really good. And they're not even like warmed up or anything yet. All right, make a well in the center. Okay, easy enough. Add the lemon zest. So I have a lemon here. I've never actually zested a lemon. I know some of you are probably like, how is she cooking right now? So I'm just gonna use this side of my grater because I don't really have like a zester. But it does say half of a lemon. So we'll just start zesting. But you know you don't want to go too deep. And preferably not get your fingers as well. It really smells lemony in here. Is that half? Okay, that's about half. I'm just going to try to get some of this excess off because I don't want to shortchange my lemon. All right. So now we've got all of that. We are going to put the warm milk, butter, and egg in there. Okay, so I guess this is going to activate our yeast. I'm just making sure warm milk, yep. Butter, which I just have measured out. And my egg. It does say to beat it first, so I'm just gonna give that a quick beat. All right. So now we've got all of that in there. Mix on medium speed until combined. I totally forgot to add the sugar to my well. So I'm going to add it in now. I hope that's not a problem. It's sitting right here on my counter. Okay, so it did say after you mixed it till combined to give it another 5 minutes mixing. So I've done that. The sugar does look to have combined in there well, so I'm hoping that's not a problem. But yeah, so now the dough is really warm. It does feel pretty smooth and elastic, like it says. It does say to turn out onto a work surface, so I've just very lightly floured my counter right here. I'm just going to use this just so I don't miss anything. And then it just says to knead it briefly by hand and shape into a ball. So I don't really think I need to do a ton of kneading here. Okay. Move my stir out of the way so you can kind of see. the dough is really warm. That yeast is really picking up. Yeah, it just says knead briefly. Not really sure what briefly is, but okay, that's pretty brief. Okay, and shape into a ball. This is pretty cool dough. It's not very sticky, like my hands are clean. And I didn't put very much flour on the counter at all, so it was just minimal. And then return to the bowl and cover and leave rise for about an hour. So I'm just going to put it right back in the bowl because it doesn't seem to suggest otherwise. All right, so there it is, going in my bowl. I've got me a lovely tea towel here, and I'm just going to let it rise for an hour, and then we'll see what happens on the other end. Okay, it's been about an hour, so my cat is back to say hello again. The dough is looking good. It looks pretty bouncy. It's bouncing back. So it does say to turn it out onto a lightly floured work surface, which I've already floured this, and knead for 30 seconds to knock out any of the large air pockets. Okay, and then we're just going to cover this with an upturned bowl. I'm assuming that's what that means. Just to let it rest for 5 to 10 minutes before we give it its shape. All right, it's been about 5 to 10 minutes. Now we just need to roll out our dough into an oval shape that is about 40 centimeters long and 3 centimeters thick. 40 centimeters is about 16 inches. So, you know, because this is 30 centimeters, I just had to grab one just to double check. So I'm just gonna roll it out a little. 3 centimeters thick is a little over an inch too, so just, you know, to give you that information. I know it's gonna be a little hard to stretch it to 40 centimeters. I can get it. I don't know if mine rose as much as it's supposed to. I never really pay attention to the doubled in size part. I never remember what it looked like before it doubled. Yeah, I don't know if mine's going to be 3 centimeters thick. Maybe I'll just quit while I'm ahead. It's a little, you know, smaller. That's okay with me. Okay, that's actually pretty close. The edges are maybe closer to the 3 centimeters than my middle is, but okay. So I've got my oval. There we go. All right, now this next part I had to read multiple times and if there wasn't a picture, I probably would get it wrong. But it says to use a sharp knife on each end to make a 10 centimeter long cut down the middle. Okay, so based on the picture, I'm just going to cut about 10 centimeters. Maybe I can move this so you can see a little bit better from the end. Well, my knife is sharp, but it doesn't look like it, does it? Okay. Okay. And then we need to slightly stretch it out the ends and twist inwards into coils. So I think it's just kind of like a decorative. I don't know how you twist it inward. Again, if it didn't have a picture, I would be completely confused. Though, you know what? It says to transfer to the baking sheet before this. So that was my bad. That way I don't have to get it all pretty and then have to transfer it again. let's try this again. Twist it in. I assume that little hole there will kind of fill in. Okay, twist it in. I mean, it's just making it pretty. It's not making it taste any different. Okay. Cover loosely with a clean tea towel. Okay, and then let it rise for another hour to proof. Okay, so this is what we've got right now. This curls could be a little bit better, but that one looks good. All right, so I'm gonna cover it up and let it rise for another hour. Okay, I've let my loaf proof for about an hour now. My oven has been preheated to 190 degrees Celsius, which is 375 degrees Fahrenheit. It didn't rise as much, again, as I was kind of hoping it would. So that's what it looks like right now. It definitely rose up some. It's going to be an interesting looking bread loaf. So we'll see. So the next thing to do is to brush the loaf with egg. So I've kind of beaten up an egg here, and I've got my brush, and we're just going to brush it with our egg wash. I do know that this kind of gives the bread a little bit of a brown color. So it'll just help it, you know, look really pretty. Maybe there's some other things that the egg wash does. I'm not actually sure. All right. That's looking pretty good. Okay, and then we need to cut decorative patterns. So I've got my sharp knife again. I'm going to keep it pretty simple. I'm not very decorative. I don't know how deep to go either. Doesn't really say.
Oh, my puzzle.
That's my toddler. Alright, I'm just doing some zigzag patterns. Just something pretty simple. I'll let you see if you can see. Yeah, I just did some little cuts just to see how that works out. Apparently the puzzle's not working very well. Alright, I'm going to put this in the oven at 375 for 10 minutes, and then I'm going to reduce it to 180 degrees Celsius, which is about 355, for 20 minutes, and then hopefully it's golden brown and ready to come out. Okay, so it's been in for 10 minutes. It's definitely risen. I just wanted to let you see that. And now I'm going to bump it down to 355.
What are you doing, Mom?
And cook it for another 20 minutes. Okay, it hasn't quite been 20 minutes, but I'm pretty sure it's done, so I'm going to get it out.
Why are you out?
Because it looks delicious.
I want to eat it.
I mean, it's pretty browned. I know it says to tap it, but I'm not really sure how that would be helpful. The longer these recipe takes, the more entertainment you guys are going to get from my children. It taps. It was only a minute early, so I'm not too worried about it, but hopefully it's done. I would have cut a lot deeper had I known what it was going to look like, because you can see the cuts didn't go all the way that deep. So I should have done a little deeper next time. I'm going to let it cool, and then we'll take a slice. All right, we are here to taste the bread. I have brought my husband in, Brian, to get to taste this beautiful looking bread. So I'm just going to give you another look at it. The Duivekater, or however it's supposed to be said. It looks pretty good. Again, I would do a little bit deeper on my knife cuts. You can kind of tell they're there, but I would do it a little deeper next time. Bottom looks good. You know? You're kind of more of a bread person than I am. So.
I'm a carbaholic.
That's true.
And it did raise from where you were worried. I mean, originally during the proofing, you were worried it wasn't going to raise.
Yeah, so when I put it in the oven, it did rise up quite a bit more than the proving did. So, no worries. We're going to cut.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So there we go. Should go with nice structure.
Yeah. I know what Paul Hollywood would say, but I'm sure
he'd probably have something.
It's not stodgy.
All right, let's get a good slice here.
So this is more of a sweet bread?
Yes, it's more of a sweet bread. So we'll take a couple chunks here and.
This will only look weird because I'm going to smell it first.
Oh, it smells delicious.
It does.
It definitely smells.
Cinnamon bread.
Yeah, well, there's cinnamon in there, so.
Well, there you go. Okay. Obviously, I haven't seen the recipe. Wow. That's really good.
It is. It is sweet.
Mm-hmm.
It's definitely sweet.
Yeah, very tasty.
I mean, you could put butter on this, but...
And I will, just because I love butter. But... And I can't believe it's not butter. But, no, it's very good.
Yeah.
It's light. It's very airy.
It
kind of looks like a heavy loaf, but it's actually, like, physically very light as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, yeah.
You know, at the end, you kind of get, like, the spices.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like, once it stays on your tongue for a while, then you get, like, the cinnamon and the nutmeg, and I guess that's cardamom. I don't know if I've ever had anything with cardamom in it.
I know I haven't.
Really good, though. Definitely would be back to making this one again.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't that hard. I mean, it was just, took a long time with the proving. But pretty easy. Very delicious. I could see that this would be a good, like, Thanksgiving or...
a holiday bread.
Holiday bread. It did say in the thing that it was a gift at Christmas for the British. I'm not British. I just assume what this book tells me is right. So that is the Duivekater out of the Love to Bake from the Great British Baking Show. Yeah, and if you want to see what the next recipe is that I decide to pull out of this book, you're going to have to subscribe because I don't know when it'll be. We'll just see.
Or what it will be.
Or what it will be, you know.
But they're all good. They're very good.
So far, so good. All right. See you next time.